fucking hard. So that's what it's about.
We got peanut butter and jelly.
Peanut butter and jelly for real.
Détroit, le Paris du centre-ouest.
Come on, bro.
That is utter nonsense.
Come on, bro.
So far, so good.
All right, we're here. POP After Dark. 2 new fresh faces to the POP After Dark crew. First, Aaron Johnson, the head honcho of Palace of Pistons. 6 years in the game, and I'm grateful for his blessing in getting POP After Dark off the ground. And then we also have Donovan Collins, my frequent NBA 2K teammate, Waka Flocka enjoyer, and his debut appearance on the Palace of Pistons podcast network. Thank you, Aaron, for not letting Don ever on and letting me be his first time. How are you guys doing?
Good. Tim, it's a pleasure, you having this podcast and letting me be on it because, I never get the invite to the other one. So, it's a pleasure to, actually contribute in this format.
Yeah, I mean, trying to silence Donovan has been one of my many goals in life. And, for the last going into 9 years now, I've been unsuccessful in doing so. So the podcast was the one area that I could control. And unfortunately, that streak comes to an end today. I'm going to apologize to all viewers, all listeners in advance for what happens today.
Yeah, and what's about to happen, I'm going to start the show off in a strong way. I need to make a very strong statement about the Pistons on December 9th, 2022. And that statement is as follows. Killian Hayes. Aaron was the first person in my life to believe in Killian that I know of. I didn't really see much on Twitter about him. Sometimes he'd send me videos of himself in his living room, like jumping up and down, doing like a whisper yell while watching his tape. And he was just the first person. He was the first person who really put me on to Killian. I was a Killian believer through Aaron. We championed for him to be a Piston during the draft. Since he was drafted, he was an utter disappointment. I have one of my Christmas gifts was a Killian Hayes real $90 jersey. After the fact, happy when I got it, unhappy about how he's performed. Up until I believe it's when the World Cup started. The World Cup was coming around, and now Killian Hayes is a real NBA player. This also coincides with Cade Cunningham being out. But I want to leave it up to you guys. Killian does not take layups, but he's DeRozan level efficient in the mid-range, cooks off the dribble. Defense and passing are as good as they have been, setting his feet, making threes. Where did this come from? What is the reason for Killian Hayes being a real NBA player now, Aaron?
It's nice to see that, maybe he's not a bottom 10 rotation player in the NBA, and maybe he's just a serviceable NBA player. I mean, look at his last 10 games, 13 points a game. Over 7 assists, under 2 turnovers, 38% from the three-point line. It's nice that he's doing some things at an NBA level that are contributing to the Pistons, right? That being said, he still does a lot of things or doesn't do a lot of things that he needs to do, right?
I don't know. I don't agree. I don't agree.
Okay, go ahead. Because you just literally said he doesn't get a layup, which he really doesn't. He doesn't get to the free throw line.
Well, why does he need to take layups if he's making every mid-range shot?
Is he making every mid-range shot? I mean, he's still shooting sub 40 or barely 40% from the field on this.
Making every mid-range shot.
Then how's he shooting 40% from the floor?
Sir, since you couldn't give me a good answer, Donovan, do you know why Killian has been on a tear and why he's a real NBA player now?
I mean, just like in all sports, when you get more playing time, and it's been a blessing in disguise that Cade Cunningham has been hurt, even though it saddens me not to see him play, and suit up every day for But with more playing time comes more opportunity and more confidence. He's the guy running the show. Unless we really want Corey Joseph to bring the ball up and start for us every game, I think I'd rather have Killian. So would you guys, and so would a lot of other people. But more playing time has definitely led to an increase in his statistics and his play. But can he continue, a month from now when we look at January 9th, 2023, is he going to be still doing this? Is he still going to be doing this when Cade's back, and he's got less minutes? And will he ever use his right hand? That's just my questions that I have for Killian.
There's a lot to be said about Killian's weaknesses still. His right hand doesn't take layups. But I'm not letting you guys use this segment to bash Killian. I'm not
trying to bash Killian. He's played better, but has he lived up to his expectations as a 7th pick of the draft from 2 years ago?
That's my problem. Like, no one like wants Killian to be a player more than me. Like, I went on and said, like, he's the number 1 prospect in the draft. I take him over LaMelo. Like, I said all that shit. So it's like nobody wants him to like turn into a good player more than me. But at the same time, I'm not gonna like sit here and be tweeting out like Killian Hayes apology forms because he's averaging 13 points over his last 10 games. Like,
so you would go as far to say he does not look like a snack in the teal uniforms?
No, I don't.
I think Pistons Twitter as a whole thinks, what I've seen on Pistons Twitter, he's not looking just like a snack. He's looking like dinner and then dessert after.
I've never seen a player like they'll post like a stat line for the night and it won't be Killian in a jersey.
No, it's like him smiling in a GIF.
He's a freaking model. Like, I don't know where these guys get these pictures, right?
No, the one that kills me is the one where he's like in a coat or something.
Yeah.
He's like in a coat, the winter coat. He's
no,
like,
the
man.
one in the suit too. I've seen the one that they posted.
The black suit where he's looking over the balcony on draft night.
The black suit. Yeah, it'd be like Killian over the last 10 games or last night, 15 points, 10 assists, 3 steals, and it's him with a black coat. I'm like, what? Can't you just post like a highlight?
I mean, they have like 7 photographers at the game. Like, you'd think there'd be one photo that they could find, or just use any photo of Killian Hayes playing basketball. No, let's find a picture that we think he looks good in.
That's really all I have to say about Killian. I mean, that's gold in itself. Keep it up, man. I am looking forward to the Playboy shoot that's coming up for you too, as well as
best looking guy in the team. He's best looking guy in the Pistons in the last 25 years.
Ask Pistons Twitter, right? If basketball doesn't work out for Killian Hayes, he's going to be a model.
Yes, he is.
Switching gears a little bit here. The Lions are playing well right now, and this is not a Lions podcast, nor is it a Detroit sports podcast. Lions are won 4 of their last 5. They've got a big game. By the time you hear this, they will have already played the Vikings, and your boy Tim here was in the building for that game. But I do want to talk about Lions brain, right? All of us are in our early 20s. We could be in our 60s right now and still have never seen a truly great Lions team. Detroit sports as a whole have kind of been abysmal. The Lions are playing well now, but there's always a sense in Detroit sports of what can go wrong, will go wrong. For all of our conscious brains, right? Like, we've been Pistons fans, like real Pistons fans, for probably like a decade, a little bit more, when we fully could like comprehend the NBA. And we've covered, especially Aaron, has covered the Pistons at their absolute worst. And we will get to some of the names later when we do our cursed Pistons trivia segment. Do you guys think that, like, Lions brain, even though they're good right now, do you think our Lions brain has corrupted our view of the Pistons?
I think it's just Detroit sports in general. Like, I mean, obviously the Lions are the biggest factor in that. Like, same old Lions to the day I die, obviously. But it's certainly intersected because the Pistons, the Lions, like the Tigers since 2014 or whatever, have not been good. The Red Wings have not been good. Like, it's a theme in this city now. The professional sports teams are abysmal. The general managers, the head coaches, the players have all been abysmal. The organizations across the board have been abysmal. So I think the Lions are the biggest factor in that. Like, the Lions are just an embarrassment to the city. They have been. Like, we're talking about them being good, and they're 5-7. So, like, that's all you need to know. Like, that's what's got us saying, oh, the Lions are good. Like, they've had some good weeks, and we're sitting here 5-7. Maybe we sneak into the playoffs. Like, that's the conversation that we're having right now. So that should tell you everything we really need to know. Like, yeah, the Lions have sucked, but also the Pistons have sucked just as bad. I mean, everyone, and myself included, was like, we were all excited about the Blake Griffin year when the Pistons crawled and barely got in the playoffs just to get swept, and everyone was excited, rightfully so, to get in the playoffs. But it's like, we were so excited for that because we're so not used to winning. Like, in a lot of cities, being an 8 seed isn't acceptable. Barely getting in, being under 500 and getting in isn't acceptable, right? But that's just where we're at as a sports city right now, which is really unfortunate. Yeah, the Lions have definitely played a part in that because you can bank on them every year, just do some really embarrassing shit, and same old Lions. That's why it's such a thing.
Very professional there. I'll give it to you plain and simple. We've become, because of the Lions, growing up, they were the bad team, right? We had the Tigers when we were like young, right? 6, 7, 8 years old. Tigers were good. Pistons were, Eastern Conference Finals team every year, right? Red Wings were doing their thing. But the Lions they had that 0-16 team. So we grew up to a bunch of losers, and it's our, as a fan base, the Lions are probably have the biggest fan base out of all the 4 teams. Would you say? Would anybody agree? Yeah.
No doubt.
So when you're around that for so often, you just start becoming numb, and you just start to expect that at the end of the game or sometime in the season, man, they started 2-0. Wait till you see we're 2-10. That's just how things go, and that's how we grew up. And then when the Wings started becoming bad, and then the Pistons, especially after like the 09, 08 season, and they were pretty bad for a couple of years, right? We just started becoming this last decade expected to what's to come. Pistons started out 4-0. Oh, you take a look 2 weeks later, man, they're 4-9 now. I haven't won a game in 2 weeks. It truly is funny because it is true. I do think that it does play a factor, in how we think toward the Pistons rebuild, right? We're just at some point this season, Troy's going to make a stupid trade, and now it's right back to square one, as expected.
While you're talking, I'm starting to see some parallels between where the Pistons are now and how the Lions got good. Good as a I'm gonna use quotes here, good. What was it, 20?
They're playing better, and their rookies are showing improvement.
They're good. They're
Yes.
5-7. Duh.
Yes, but I want to go back even further to the Pistons drafted Cade, number 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is it
I recall
2008 or 2009 when they drafted Matthew Stafford?
2009 was Matthew Stafford's first year.
I'm Cade's only in his second year, but both are heralded prospects who go number 1. I'm just starting to be really afraid that everyone's gonna love Cade. You will not find a Pistons fan that's nah, Cade. I'd prefer Sadiq or Killian or whatever. Maybe the commenters of the Pals Business podcast would be the only ones who hate Cade. I don't fathom there being a Pistons fan who's I should have Jalen Green, so, unless they're 12 years old. So I'm worried that Cade is our Matthew Stafford, right? We grew up with Matthew Stafford. We always believed in him more than everyone else. We thought he was so good. There wasn't really support around him. Injuries and stuff derailed him, and he left and had immediate success. And I'm just afraid, it's early to call it on Cade, but I'm afraid that the Pistons finally get the guy in the door. And we could get Victor in however many months, and this all changes.
That's a big if. You know what? I'm thinking on it right now, and it's starting to play out that way. So let's talk about it. When Patricia and Bob Quinn came in, we got rid of Quandre Diggs, A'Shaun Robinson. We got rid of some players, Darius Slay, and they went on to be better or just as good as they were here, when they were at their peak here, but better. I think Quandre Diggs made a Pro Bowl after. Darius Slay is still tearing it up, but they weren't, according to coaches or players here, or just our toxic media, not as good as they think, they are. And now we're kind of seeing the same thing within the Pistons organization, right? We're calling for, trades of Jeremy Grant, Kelly Olynyk's gone. And now look what they're doing when, they're gone and Cade's still here. It's already blossoming into what happened with Stafford. People retire, people, we waste careers here, and people leave, and the same thing's happening here. Somehow, some way, Kelly Olynyk, I haven't looked at his numbers in a while, but I know at the beginning of the year he was playing decent. And same thing with Jeremy Grant. They're playing better outside Detroit, and that kind of factors in, maybe maybe it's not, the player. Maybe it's the organization itself. And I know Aaron and I have talked about, how potentially toxic this organization could be.
I mean, I don't really have much more to say about that. Like, Donovan's not wrong. I mean, the Pistons went out, and it feels like they get into this cycle where they get a good player. And I won't even use Kelly Olynyk. Like, Kelly Olynyk was just – I mean, I get it was an anomaly of a year, but, like, I won't even fault the Pistons for that because he was injured, and he got COVID.
Yeah, that's also true.
And then he came back from COVID and didn't know how to play basketball functionally. And, like, he's fine in Utah. Like, he's doing good things for them, this and that. I mean, my biggest issue is the Jeremy Grant trade. And I was –
that's the big one.
I was saying all last year I didn't want to trade Jeremy Grant. It's like, you have people last year talking about, oh, you got to trade Jeremy Grant. Let's see if they can get Cam Reddish. Like, Cam Reddish would be a great prospect for this team. And it's like, here we are, a calendar year down the line, and Cam Reddish is on another team, and he's already in trade talks again because he doesn't work there. And it's like, meanwhile, Jeremy Grant, now gone, is having a career year in Portland and is playing phenomenal basketball. Like, kind of just want to do a whole podcast where I just read off Jeremy Grant's stat lines for each game he played in Portland.
Let's start that right now. Let's go back to game one.
But it feels like I don't even think that's necessarily aligned with Cade. Like, the Jeremy Grant stuff was like, oh, you can't keep Jeremy Grant if you have Sadiq Bey, and Sadiq Bey is a forward just as much as Jeremy Grant is, and you can't have Jeremy Grant take the ball out of Cade's hands and Sadiq's hands and your next top pick's hands. Which was just a stupid conversation because all the good teams in the league have multiple good players that can score for themselves in isolation, set up others, all that kind of stuff. I mean, shit, he can play with Damian Lillard and Anthony Simons in Portland just fine. So I thought that was just really stupid in itself. But that's kind of what it feels like with Detroit. It's like they get a good player and somehow goes wrong. Like, Blake was phenomenal. Like, I'll never forget the season he had in the 2018-2019 year. Like, that was one of the just most dominant seasons I've had the privilege of watching from a player. But then, he gets hurt, and he gives himself for the organization, for the franchise, essentially. He has to go through the knee surgery, isn't the same, and now you have the Jeremy Grant stuff, and it just seems like kind of in the same sense of it's the Lions. They're going to mess it up somehow. The Pistons, something bad's going to happen for the Pistons. And, I don't want to make any like major referendums on Cade Cunningham because he played one season and he's hurt now. He got hurt 10 games into the year. It's like, I think he's going to be a phenomenal player. I thought he was the right pick at one. I thought he was the obvious pick at one. I think he's going to be just fine. But those parallels are scary, and I don't like that we're even talking about it like that, because that means we still got 7 more years until we move on from Cade, and then he's going to go win a title, and the Pistons are kind of going to be still in the same spot that they're in now. Like, that doesn't sound fun to me.
Yeah, when I first conceptualized POP After Dark, I didn't think it would be as depressing as it is, but it has come to be that way. Within the first 2 minutes of this podcast existing, Czar said, "I give up. I can't do this anymore." And I feel like I could do a better job of leading this away from that. But I do want, the Cade Stafford thing is just kind of like something to keep an eye on. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I kind of playing devil's advocate there. But I do think, Aaron, you made a good point. The Lions are 5-7, and we're talking about how good they are. That is literally what I'm doing with Killian and the Pistons. It's corrupted. It's corrupted my view.
Because you look at the Ravens or whatever. You look at these teams that are 7-5 or 8-4, whatever, and you'll have those fans saying, "We're underperforming right now. This is unacceptable. This team didn't make enough moves at the deadline. This team had a bad."
People are so used to it. They're so used to average to below average every year. And
and if I could try to interrupted by Donovan, right? It's like these organizations are used to being good and not being abysmal. It's like the city of Detroit isn't used to that. The last time this organization the last time this city has seen, a consistently above average organization was when David Dombrowski was the general manager of the Tigers. And
he's doing good right now. And
that's really it. Everyone else, there are 2, 3, 4 new general managers in since then. It's like Pistons had Stan Van Gundy, they had Ed Stefanski, now they have Troy Weaver. The Lions had Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia. You know, I understand Jim. Some people will live and die by Jim Caldwell. I don't think he was anything special. It's like, you know, now they're on Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, and who knows? Like everyone's going to say right now, as a team is a good 5-7. Look at Aiden Hutchinson. Look at JMO. Like they're great. But are we going to be having that same discussion in 2 years when the Lions still haven't made the playoffs? Is it going to be a whole other regime coming in then? So it's like, yeah, organizations. We're all excited over here because the Lions are 5-7, and we're like, oh, they might be not the worst 1 or 2 organizations in the NFL. Meanwhile, teams with like actually good franchises, actually good sports, current sports cities are like, oh, we're 8-4. This is unacceptable. Like, let's get this shit together.
You know, Tim, you should never invite Aaron back on. He's just such a negative person. He's just such a negative person.
Conversation. So I'm just.
Hey,
coming.
You have no optimism whatsoever. Even when we're playing 2K, it's just immediately everything's shut down. Everything's shut down immediately.
Basically, what I'm hearing is that Detroit sports, for the time being, for our recent past decade of being sports conscious, have been cursed. And that's a perfect segue for the main event of today's pod. We are doing cursed Pistons trivia. And this isn't your normal trivia. This isn't like the Keith Black Trudeau trivia of like when Grant Hill scored this many points on this day. No. We are going back the past probably 15 years or so. And I'm going to need a name answer for most of these questions. A couple rules here first. No Google. Come on now. No Google. I believe these questions are going to be so incredibly difficult that I'm going to let you guys alternate answers back and forth until each of you have said 3 names each for each question. Are you guys ready?
Yes. Aaron, if you lose to me in this, you know, you should probably just deactivate your Pistons Twitter account or anything Pistons related.
If Donovan wins, he gets to host the main feed. One time.
I'll do a takeover show.
It'll be like a crossover. It'll be like a crossover. All right. This Piston played 9 games for Detroit in the 2016-17 season and only made 1 of his 10 shots.
I feel like Joel Anthony played more games than that.
My first guess was Joel Anthony as well, but I got to think of the roster really quick in my head. I can't.
No, he wasn't on the teams. Luigi Dottomi.
You guys need to start saying names here.
I'm thinking. How am I supposed to remember the back end of the?
Exactly.
What do you say?
Dwight Buycks.
Nope. Good guess though.
He was actually solid.
Donovan, do you have another name?
I'm trying. I don't. Now at the top of my head.
You got to give me a hint now, like to help us get to the answer.
He played for Syracuse.
Damn it, that doesn't help me.
Me neither.
You know what? I've had enough of this question.
Just say it. What is it?
Michael Benajay.
Oh.
Are you serious?
Michael Benajay.
This Piston wore number 50 and shot 58% from the field in 2014. Donovan, you're going first.
No,
you went first last time.
Go ahead.
No, you
I
go.
didn't hear it. Okay, wasn't Joel Anthony on 2014 team? Yeah.
That is correct.
I knew he said it first. He deserved. Aaron, you deserved it. You deserved it.
Here,
okay.
Aaron, I'll give you a softball here. These 2 former in-state college greats each played 6 total minutes for the Pistons. In-state college greats.
Is it recent college greats? Like
I would say this is within the last decade. This happened.
This just makes me look bad to the public.
No, these questions are cursed. I promise you, it's going to get worse.
Like in-state, are we talking like just the 2 big
in-state college greats? They played college basketball in the state of Michigan. You guys both know who they are. And they played 6 total minutes for the Pistons.
Keith Applin.
That is incorrect. Donovan, there's 2 names here.
I was gonna go with Matt McQuaid, but I don't think he ever made off the G League team.
Is it the other Michigan State guard Jalen Lucas, was that one?
Yep, that's one of them. And the other one also played 6 minutes for the Pistons.
They both played 6 minutes exactly?
Yes.
Can I get
my God.
Michigan State?
It is not Michigan or Michigan State.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Shoot. No.
Aaron's got Kalen Lucas, so if he gets this next one, he gets it. And if not, Donovan gets the head start.
Is it a MAC school?
No, it is not.
So it's Horizon League, so it's got to be Oakland.
Oh. What's his name?
Not Kate Felder. Is it?
Boom!
Yeah, it was Cade Felder.
I
yeah.
give
said that like I was saying it like 45 seconds ago.
We'll have to play back the tape. This shooting guard scored 12 points per game on his 10-day contract with Detroit and then never played in the NBA again.
Oh my God.
Oh, I think I know this.
I'm trying to think of all the 10-day contracts we gave out in the last decade, which I can't. Was it like a notable player?
No, it was not. He's not notable in the slightest.
Okay.
I said this is cursed Pistons trivia. These questions are damn near impossible to answer.
I'm gonna pass.
Okay.
I think, I know he had a couple, like, bigger games with the team last year. Was it Cassius Stanley?
That is incorrect. Let me check and see what season this guy played for the Pistons. Hold on.
12 points per game? Was it? It's probably the end of the season.
Why the hell we cut this guy?
Yeah.
He played for the Pistons during the 2019-20 season.
Oh my God, I know this.
Jordan McRae.
Yep.
Oh my God, I knew that.
Aaron's
I knew
up,
that.
I
I'm
think.
disappointed. I'm disappointed in myself.
All right. Before Sadiq Bey, who was the last Piston to wear number 41?
Oh, what the hell? So this is within the last, 10 years? 15 years?
41.
I would say within the past 5 years. Let me check and see the year. I'll give you guys. I need to make this a little easier. I'll give you guys the year.
5 years. I should
This is 2017-18. He played 7 games for the Pistons and wore number 41.
See, I feel like I should know that. What number was Tolliver?
Anthony Tolliver wore number 43 for the Detroit Pistons.
43. 41.
You need another hint? He is most notably a player for the Orlando Magic in his career. 10 seasons in Orlando.
Oh. Jameer Nelson.
Hey, there you go. There you go.
You know what's so funny? You know what's so funny is that I saw a picture on Twitter 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, oh my God, I totally forgot Jameer Nelson. And he was big boy at that time, too. I totally forgot. I totally forgot he played for us. Totally forgot. That was Stan Van Gundy's, one of his last deal things he did here was bring in Jameer Nelson.
What a favor. Because that was Stan Van Gundy's point guard when he was with Orlando.
In the 2017-18 season, this Piston played 29 games, averaged 15 minutes a game, and never played in the NBA again.
Say that again? Sorry, I'm trying to keep my status on at work right now.
His name has been said on this episode before, so far.
Oh, on this episode? Then I don't know.
Wait, 2017 to 2019?
He played 29 games in 2017-18 season.
Well, I'm bad at this. I was going to say Darren Hilliard.
That is incorrect.
Yeah, good thing that wasn't a guess or anything.
Young guy or
He was 28 when he played for the Pistons. I'll give you one more guess here. Aaron was the one who said his name on this episode.
Aaron, this is all you, man. I
I
can't
don't know.
remember.
What did I say?
He was a point guard. It was Dwight Buycks.
I was about to start throwing out names. I think it was the season after. I was about to start throwing out Jordan Bone, Lewis King.
All right, this Piston played the last of his 870 career games with the Pistons and scored 4 points in the 2016 playoffs against the Cavs.
The last of his
870 career games in
You
the
really
NBA.
included a
with the
Steve
Pistons.
Blake question?
Oh my God.
Ew.
Who has played more games for the Detroit Pistons? Cade Cunningham or Darren Hilliard?
2 years, wasn't he?
Has Cade played a full season?
Cade missed a bunch of time last year. He's missing time this year. It's Hilliard.
It's got to be Hilliard.
Hilliard has played 77 games, Cade 76.
That's a little too close for my liking.
Do we both get a point on that? What's the score?
I don't know what the score is. I'll tell you. I'll do a post. A post.
What are you doing here?
I'll edit it to make it sound like you won, all right? Who has played more games in a Pistons uniform? Nerlens Noel or the cast of TNT's Inside the NBA?
Well, the Inside NBA could.
It's like Ernie, Shaq, Chuck.
So the main
Kenny.
four.
Yeah.
The main four.
Wasn't Kenny a Piston for a minute or no? That's the only one that might have been one.
No. It's Nerlens Noel.
Kenny Smith played 9 games for the Pistons. Nerlens Noel, I believe, has played 8.
Let's go.
Are you kidding me?
Let's go. Fire up. That's a cursed question. Question.
What?
This Piston scored 1,300 points in 2007 and 25 points for the Pistons in 2008.
So he either got hurt, traded, was terrible for some reason.
I believe Aaron is Googling. 1,300 points in 07, 25 points for the Pistons in 08.
See, I could take a guess, but then people
Was
would.
Chris Webber 08?
That is incorrect.
I'm trying to remember his tenure, Chris Webber's.
1,300 points is a lot of points.
Was it Chauncey?
That is correct.
Was it Chauncey? Did he get traded that earlier in the year?
Yeah,
Just
we got traded.
pretty good. I was hating on myself earlier, but I'm actually pretty good at this.
Okay, let's
All right.
calm down there.
Chris Middleton wore number 32 for the Pistons in 2013. Who was the last player to wear number 32 in a Pistons uniform?
Paint Ziba? No.
Nope.
Has anyone else worn it?
No, there's been one player to wear it.
Well,
I actually am going to save you guys some time. You guys are not going to get this. It's Justin Harper.
Ew.
Dude, oh my gosh. Okay, quick story. That was one of the first players I ever spoke to. Or for a article. I did a little interview with Justin Harper. It was when he played Summer League or something with the Pistons, or he had a 10-day.
Which former number 1 pick wore number 38 for the Pistons?
The Pistons drafted him?
Which former number 1 pick wore number 38 for the Pistons?
I was about to say. Number 38. God, such a weird number. Such a forgettable number.
Yeah, I agree.
This should be a layup. Former number 1 pick.
From when?
The number 1 pick. We're talking number 1 pick in the draft, not first round.
Number 1 pick in the draft wore number 38 for the Pistons.
Dude, what? I should know this.
It was Kwame Brown.
He wears 38?
Kind of tried to forget Kwame Brown ever existed, so
He wore 38 for
was
us?
never gonna get there.
I thought he would wear something like 50 something, unless I'm thinking Lakers or something.
Who was the last Piston to wear 00?
That's a good question because I feel
Andre!
no, but wasn't he on the team when Drummond was on the team?
He was not.
No.
This player played for the Pistons within the last calendar year.
What?
In the last, was it one of the COVID guys? Because that's really cursed if you did that. That's really cursed.
00 in the last calendar year.
I gotta try to think back. Oh, Cheick Diallo.
Yep.
Good for you, Aaron.
There's too much bullshit up here, man.
All right.
I feel like you applied some of that to, some real life stuff.
This is the perfect player to end it on. I thought this guy played longer than 52 games for the Pistons and shot 36% from 3. It was 2015-16.
Was it? I feel like that's too early.
You're going to say Marcus Morris?
No, I was going to say Marcus Thornton.
Ooh, he would have been a good answer for one of these. I did not have him.
15-16. This is another one.
So I got to think of that roster, right? That was Stanley's first year. It was...
Was it Stanley? That was Stanley. Wow.
Drummond and Stanley, KCP, Reggie.
So long ago.
I know. It's 8. Was it Jody Meeks? Did he only end up playing 52 games?
Nope. Anything else I say about this player will give it away. Don, do you have an answer?
No, but see, to make this interesting,
No.
you got to have something. Otherwise, there's all this dead air time.
Wow. Is he telling you how to run your own show?
His nickname is Turkish Thunder.
Ersan Ilyasova?
Boom.
He only played 52 games?
He only played
That's
52
right.
games for the
Poor
Pistons.
season.
Got to the Pistons, played 52 games in 2015-16, and was traded for Tobias Harris.
What? Was he not here for multiple seasons? I swear to God.
I swore he was too, but he was only here for 52 games.
No way. It felt like, oh no, really?
God,
Yep.
Ersan Ilyasova. That's always the guy you'd open up in your first My Team pack.
Oh, he was awesome though. I loved watching Ersan play.
One of the best charge takers in NBA history.
True. He was. I loved watching Ersan play.
There's no better way to end this episode of Cursed Pistons Trivia than with Ersan Ilyasova. I'm going to tally it up in post, but Aaron, I believe, is the winner.
That's not something he's used to. There's times to be proud and, there's times to be humble. And, Aaron, you shouldn't take anything away from this because, covering the Pistons since you were, 9 years old, straight out of the womb, I expected you to win this. And if I won, you would have had to deactivate. Actually, you should have gave the credentials to the Palace of Pistons Twitter. Then that would have got interesting.
Last time I gave someone credentials to a Pistons, one of the Pistons that kind of ran, they posted gay porn pictures on it. So.
And that is the Palace of Pistons After Dark. I want to thank Aaron and Donovan for being here.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me on. It's good to be on something, once in a while.